Hey, everybody, it's Joey Fernand next to me, and I am Dave Standing, and we are in the Win Against Tide studio. Big show for you guys tonight. We're going to discuss many things, including Joe's take on the King's coronation. I know Joe's a royalist at heart. I want to hear what he thinks about that. And we're going to talk about Joe's beautiful cooking, which we have sampled before the show, as we do every week. We've got a giant of the fishing industry going to have a quick chat to us about the dolphin fish fishing, which has been happening down in the southwest. Matthew Hunt. Um, there is a slight chance we may not get onto him though, Joe, because he is at the pub, but he said he'll answer and go to a quiet spot. So fingers crossed that actually works, Joe.
Davey, great to be here. It's just clicked over 8 p.m. across the Australian Eastern Seaboard, and we are live and we are ready to go in the pod studio. Loving the chat. We've got 29 people in the chat right now. We got Shane Ells in the house, Boeli, Leroy, Daniel Hall, and our good mate Wild Chicken. Thanks for joining us, boys. And you can also join in on the live chat. We're ready to interact with you as this show unfolds.
Wild Chickens just kicked the show off with a $10 donation on the live feed, Joey. I like the way he rolls.
That's right. He was waiting for the show to start. He had his $10 ready. I love it. Super chat. We love a good super chat.
Bo Ely wants to know, I was not going to talk about this because I know you're going to bang on for friggin' ever about your pies and stuff, but how was Bendigo, Joe?
Oh, it's fantastic. I did a gig up in Bendigo on Saturday night. I was playing bass with Super Band, but on the Sunday morning drive back home to Melbourne, couldn't help but stop past the famous Beechworth Bakery on the way back home to Melbourne. I had myself a dirty pie and a cappuccino and a lovely pastry called a bee sting, which is a lovely custard honey. It's kind of like a Daniel's donut, in fact. It's basically a Daniel's donut before Daniel's donuts were invented, but now you can get Daniel's donuts everywhere, and that's what it is.
What's a dirty pie, Joe? Is that the one they dropped on the ground and sold to you for half price?
Maybe. Davey.
Just sipping at my water tonight, Joey, because I've been struck down once again this week. A different illness this time. I've now got a cold, but I think it makes my voice very sensual. Won't you agree?
You can't get a clear run, old boy, but that's all right. We're going to get you fixed up because we are actually going to go fishing on our day off this week. Dave and I have got Friday off, and we are actually hooking up extreme, and we are going fishing. Dave.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of investigations put into this. Investigations? Yeah, sure, that'll work. Trying to work out where to go. We basically had a signed, sealed, delivered plan to head down to Tassie and fish with Jonah Yick, but he got a bit afraid of the weather. And no, you know what actually happened, Joe? Jonah, who's caught like giant swordfish and various other creatures for like his last 3 or 4 trips, went fishing on Monday and he didn't catch anything. And that was the end of the world. He was so heartbroken. I don't think he could bear to go again a week later with us.
It was. And he got bitten off. He was sword fishing and he got bitten off. And, you know, we talked about on last shows that there are giant toads out there nipping braid and biting people off. Apparently, it's pretty devastating when you get bitten off on a sword fishing rig.
Yeah. He fired me up, actually, Joe, when he was giving me the whole woe is me spiel. I said, are you freaking serious, mate? You've had, you don't catch swordfish every trip, and you've gone out in the rough weather knowing it's going to be rough, and you've missed for one trip and you're bloody heartbroken. Try doing it bloody 20 trips in a row, 100K offshore in Victoria, and then come and talk to me. So I did that to put a bit of pep in his step, and it seems to have done the opposite. So anyway, that invite has been retracted, Joe.
Look, it's and we've often spoken about it. You know, we live in Melbourne, and to jump in a car and go sword fishing down at Lakes Entrance, it's a 3.5 hour drive for us. Not to mention, you put fuel in the boat and you're heading out to those canyons offshore that are about 80 k's out. It takes you an hour and 45 minutes in the boat each way. By the time you put petrol in the car and in the boat, all of a sudden it starts to get pretty attractive to just book an airfare, 1 hour on a plane. And what's the run out to the shelf in Tassie, Dave?
Oh, probably at the closest point, it's about 18K or less if you're running out of Eagle Hawk Neck there. But
Right, so it's a 20-minute drive out into the sword fishing ground rather than 80 k's. All of a sudden, you start to weigh these things up. It's very attractive to just jump on a plane and go fishing for the weekend in Tassie for swordfish.
anyway, we're not doing that. We're not going to lakes because we've got a report of a 7-toed bite-off day recently. So yeah, that leaves basically for the blue water fishing. We are forced to go west this weekend. So yeah, we're planning on heading down to Portland, Port MacDonald region. We haven't really decided yet, and we're going to head out and hopefully chase some probably big tuna. We wouldn't mind catching one of these dolphin fish, but yeah, I don't think we're that lucky.
The mahi, a typical tropical saltwater fish, beautifully yellow, green, and iridescent blue colored. We've been catching them off Portland in Victoria, and that's a massive, massive fishing headline as of the last week. And yeah, there's Dave. What do you think?
Oh, mate, we've got the man on the scene down there to talk to in a little bit. But before we get to him, we've got to talk about the meal we've just had because you've put a little story up on Instagram of it, and everyone's pretty impressed, Joe. What'd you come up with?
Well, look, Dave, I'm pretty passionate about food. I love to get into the kitchen and make some meals. But this week, I wanted to try a hand at a pasta dish that really pulled at the heartstrings of us fishermen, and I wanted to try squid ink pasta.
Yes, well, it was bloody delicious, I gotta say. And if you want to have a look at that, jump on our social media and check out our stories because yeah, Joe, it was bloody delicious. And from me to you, thanks very much. I'm ready to pod now on a full belly.
That's awesome. Squid ink pasta. Look, it's wheat durum pasta that is coloured by squid ink, and really, what the way that you're supposed to cook it is make it really fragrant and oily and buttery and garlicky, with like lemon and chili and parsley, and we basically chopped up some garlic and onion and olive oil, and we got that browned, and I put in some nice wild mushrooms in the pan, and we then put the squidding pasta on, and then we just fried up the squid rings and the peeled banana prawns in that oil, butter, and vegetable mixture, and then we just mixed it all together, and we just served with some crusty garlic bread.
Bloody good way to start any podcast, Joey. But yeah, really enjoyed it. So, do you think we have a crack at getting Matt Hunt on?
Let's see if we can get Hunty on the line. I'm excited.
I'm probably a little bit nervous about this one. We don't know exactly what's going to happen when he answers, but we do appreciate him taking the time. So let's see how we go, Joey. It's ringing.
Here he
so
is.
That's good stuff.
That's very exciting.
Matt did say he might be at the pub here.
He did say he was going to try to find a quiet spot.
Ooh. The perils of live podcasting and calling guests mid-show. Ooh. Joey.
Thanks for calling Matthew Hunt Fishing Services.
Oh, mate.
That's okay.
We called it. We thought it might happen.
That's all right. We might be able to try a little bit later on in the show, but we can keep rolling because we're rollers.
Yeah, we're pros, mate. We're pros, and we had some plans in place for if this may happen because we thought it might. But yeah, we might try Matt a little bit later. But basically, what we wanted to talk to him about was the crazy dolphin fishing that's happened in Portland recently. I mean, we talked about it on the show last week. It was our King Kong, Donkey Kong catch of the week. Lovely dolphin fish caught on Matt's charter. And since then, they've gone great guns. There's probably been at least 20 to 30 of them caught throughout the fleet in the last week, where a lot of boats probably haven't been out because it's been rough. All quality big fish, Joey. And there's a couple of them up on the screen here. If you want to have a look at them, really nice. Like, that's a big bull dolphin fish. another one from Matt Hunt. Oh, that's a tuna from Tassie. But yeah, some lovely dolphin fish coming in throughout the fleet. Joey, they are coming to Portland in the cold depths of winter, which is pretty unusual. When you think of dolphin fish, what do you think of?
I think of warm water fish in the middle of a Hawaiian or a Vanuatu, or in the middle of the Pacific Ocean summer in blue, almost clear, iridescent blue water.
Yeah, so some of the things that we're going to discuss, if we had got onto Matt, was find out a little bit about what the water temperature there, because obviously this time of year of Portland it's quite cool. I would have thought probably around 15 degrees or under, Joe. So you would think it's quite odd for these warm water pelagics to be this far south, but they do ride the Lewin Current, Joe, which comes from Western Australia across to our into Victoria, and yeah, quite interesting to see. It's happened in previous years, but this year has been truly the return of the dolphin.
That's good. I'd love to try and see if we could get Matt back on the phone maybe a little bit later, because he really has been at the thick of the action.
True. Now, Joe,
Yes.
big event during the week. I don't know if you're interested in the royal family, but we had the king's coronation happening. What was your hot take on that? And can you relate that to fishing? Because we have discussed in the past that all the trout apparently in Tasmania were owned by the Queen. So do you think that has had a royal changeover as well?
Look, I only came in the piece very, very later when you guys were talking about all that. Explain to me how the royal family owns all the trout. Like, what is the parchment? Like, where is it written? Where is that law recited?
I don't know, mate. I'm just covering for the fact that Matt didn't answer. No, we've talked about it before. It's something to do with when Australia was settled and trout were introduced, because they are a European species, Joe. And apparently they belonged to the Queen. So I figure that the King now owns them. So they might be the King's trout. So that's probably about as in depth as we'll ever go into the royal family, Joey.
Yep.
Now, you wanted to talk a little bit about an exciting competition coming up, I believe.
Yes, in fishing news this week, we've got the out in the southwest, the Cororoit and District Angling Club is holding a carp fishing competition. It's being held on the 19th to the 21st of May, and it's being held in the Hopkins River and Mount Emu Creek. Apparently, the Hopkins and Mount Emu Creek is now being invaded by European carp, and apparently this is due to the unseasonal flooding that happened last year. So, yeah, get on Facebook and like Cororoit and District Angling Club. Their carp fishing competition's got $8,000 in prizes to be given away on that weekend. So, yeah, it's very, very exciting stuff. I just thought that was interesting. That I did not know that there was a carp in those waterways.
Yeah, that's right. A few calls to try Matt again, but we're going to wait until he gets on to us so that we don't have another swing and a miss. But these are the perils of live broadcasting to YouTube, everyone. But that's all right. We will truck on. A few people have asked Joey, how is the love life going?
It's a
very
favourite question.
Now, people are very invested in your life, Joe. So I think you should take that as them being big fans of yours. So
That's all good. Look, yeah, I'm just doing me right now. So yeah, when it happens, it happens. I'm going back to when it happens. But right now, we've got a really important task at hand. I'm actually mentally bracing myself for this next fishing trip. It's going to commence probably at this stage 1 or 2 a.m. on Friday morning. We're going to hook up Extreme, jump in the car with Dave, and we're going to hook up with Shane Lowry and Will, Dave's brother. We're going to head to the southwest. We're going to fish all day in probably some pretty rough weather.
Gee, you really
Probably some rough weather. We're gonna hero out onto the ocean. We're going to be on the blue water all day Friday. We're going to have to find somewhere to sleep Friday night. We're going to fish half a day on Saturday, and Dave is transporting me straight from Portland to Crown Casino by about 7 p.m. and I'll be then performing bass with Super Band at the Groove Bar on level 1 at Crown on Saturday night. So I'm just physically and mentally preparing myself for the onslaught of that particular 48 hours. And then Sunday is a very sacred day. It's Mother's Day.
Yeah,
So-
I've been told if I fish on Mother's Day, I'm dead. But so we'll make sure we're back for that one, Joey. It might be a few people off the fishing grounds by Sunday, or either that or they truly are game fishing, as they say. You really diverted the relationship question nicely, which I think is fair enough. I mean, after all, it's not our business, but we will continue to pest you about it. I've slightly given up on getting onto one of the reality dating TV shows. You'll be glad to hear, Joe, only slightly. I may return to that, circle around on it. But after your recent cooking efforts, I'm thinking MasterChef could be more your game.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Are you receptive to that idea?
Yeah, sure. I'm very passionate about food. I'd gladly take up MasterChef, but yeah, even tonight, like I actually did not have a recipe for squidding pasta. I just kind of watched a couple of YouTube videos and just thought about some flavors, and I literally improvised. Like I improvised a bass solo, but in the form of cooking for Dave tonight. But yeah, I cook with my heart. It makes the Italian in me. It's about the passion.
Very passionate, a lot of hand movements and stuff like that, Joe. No, we look forward to that. If you disappear for like a couple of months off the podcast, we know that that's what's happened. You're off filming for MasterChef. Hey, a really cool video came all over social media just the other day, and I thought it was bloody. For anyone who hasn't already
Oh, this is
seen
sick.
it, I
This
think we've
video.
got to have a look at it because it's so cool. I'll give it a run now, Joe.
All right, here it goes.
For those that are just listening, we've got a bloody massive flathead, which has been filmed with a drone. And so someone's glide baiting over very shallow water. So it's a bloody awesome video. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't already seen it. It's all over social media. But yeah, the thing I found interesting about that is how good that fish was at throwing the hooks of the lure, Joey. Pretty bloody impressive, if you ask me. That's probably what's happened to me with all my 1 meter flathead I've really
Yeah,
caught.
it's just sick in just slow mo, just coming out of its lurch there and chasing that what is it, soft plastic there?
Nah, glide bait, Joey.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So anyway, definitely worth watching that one. And yeah, get on that if you haven't already seen it. Just a quick update on the hoodies, Joey.
Oh
With,
yeah.
our King Kong Donkey Kong hoodies. What could have been the last run of them ever, maybe. So pre-orders closed on Sunday. Thanks everyone who put an order down for those. So they have been ordered. They're off at the printers at the moment, getting done, and we'll get them out to everyone as soon as we can. So big thanks to everyone who got involved there. There may be a little bit of stock coming, Joe, a tiny bit of stock. So if you missed out on the pre-order, fear not. There is a very small amount of bonus hoodies and tees that will be available in about 3 weeks' time, apparently, to get those printed. So
Yeah, and I said to Dave as well, we got to get King Kong Donkey Kong back. I just think it's something really fun, and it's related towards fishing, and it's just so cool how a catchphrase has been able to go on a hoodie, and it's something we can all have a lot of fun with and enjoy. And they're great hoodies too. They're so small for you guys. Have really
Small
selected. Yeah, you've really selected a good supplier and a very, very quality garment indeed.
yeah, they are bloody warm. All right, well, what we might do, Joe, is in the absence of having a chat to Matt Hunt at the moment, we might throw over to our fishing reports, maybe a little bit early, but we'll have a look at those and see where that takes us.
Hey!
Welcome to the Hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. There you go, Joey. It is that time of the week. We're going to have a look at what's been biting around the universe, as it were. We've already talked quite a lot about these dolphin fish. It's a hot dolphin bite. And we're in Victoria, of course. It doesn't happen too often, does it? Don't get to feature that in the Hookup very often, Joey.
No, we don't. Mahi Mahi biting off their tits at Portland. And
Their tits a bit off.
they're biting tits at Portland, the Mahi Mahi. And yeah.
Yeah, very exciting.
You just had the picture up. Oh,
Oh, sorry, Joe. What do you want me to bring up?
The Mahi Mahi, another picture.
Oh, hang on. There you go, Joe.
You had like a quad stack of them or a tri stack of them.
Mate, there's been videos coming from some of the charter boats of 4 or 5-way hookups on these dolphin fish. So there's obviously quite a few there when you get on a good patch of them, Joey. But it's not the only thing happening. We've got the East Coast sword fishery. There's actually a really good weather window coming up this weekend, so we may see some boats head out there. And if they can avoid the toady dogs, there is definitely some swordfish in the mix.
We'd been talking about it. We think a lot of motherless fishermen on Sunday are potentially going to be on the sword grounds on Sunday because the weather was looking good Sunday. Is that still the case, by the way?
Saturday, Sunday looking good, in my opinion, out that way. In fact, nearly everywhere is looking good. There's a bit of a high pressure system coming over. So yeah, get out there. If you're game enough, Saturday's definitely good. Sunday looks even better on the sword grounds in particular. So,
and you just said a high pressure system. It hasn't really happened so much this year, but traditionally in April and May, you've just got that big slow high pressure system moving over, and you can get a window of 2 or 3 days of rather windless days, but it just hasn't happened. We just keep getting lashed every weekend, and you basically have to be organised to go fishing midweek at the moment, the way the current weather cycle's been going for offshore blue water fishing.
Yeah, that's anyone who has work flexibility is always going to reap the benefits, Joe, of being able to move with the weather. So good luck to them, I say. Moving down to Eaglehawk Neck in Tasmania, one of our favourite locations of all time, where we probably would have been this weekend, Joe, but not to be. The big tuna, they've been a bit absent, but they've started to move on through. And here we have a photo which has actually come through from who I consider to be the original tuna lord.
Oh, who's that?
It's not the man himself holding the fish. That's a customer. That is on Stewie Nichols' personalised sea charter fishing boat out of Eaglehawk Neck, Joey.
Wow, and have a look at that. So this on the screen here is about 100-kilo tuna stood up on its nose, and it's just been absolutely shredded. Its face has been just shredded. It looks a bit like Freddy Krueger. Shredded tuna face.
Yeah, unfortunate aspect of the tuna fishing down there. For those that don't know, there's a giant fur seal colony, and they're quite ferocious. They've learnt to take down even the biggest of tunas, and it's some of the locations you fish, it's really rare to get them in without significant seal damage.
Yeah, well, look, my experience at Eaglehawk Neck there, you've got a big rock formation called the Hippolyte Rock there, and literally all the seals just park on this giant rock. But we've got a seal rock in Victoria. It's called Seal Rocks, and there's lots of seals there, but especially on this Hippolyte Rock, like they must grow them big in Tasmania. Like some of these seals can be like 300 kilos. Like
yeah,
they're really big, aggressive bull.
Big old
seals.
meanies.
Yeah, they're big meanies.
No, they actually are, Joe. My first actual big tuna I ever caught, it was 92 kilo. And I thought when it popped up that it would have been about 60 because there was a seal flapping about with it, literally holding it in its mouth like it was a school fish. But turns out the fish was 92 kilo. The seal must have been 400. It was freaking huge. And you know what? We got that fish off that stupid seal and we belted him. No, we didn't do anything to him. But we got the fish off him and we were victorious. But yeah, a lot of people not so lucky. They will fully rip up a giant 100-kilo fish given the opportunity. So
yeah.
I think Stewie's caught barrels on 2 to 3 consecutive days. Seen a lot of them busting up down there. So all those guys down there are getting a good shot at the big tuna, and quite amazing that they are spread through South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, and God knows where else, Joe. If anyone really wants to look hard enough at any of these other common locations, I'm sure that they would find them if they did enough research. But Always is a spectacular place down there at Eagle Hawk Neck to catch them under the largest sea cliffs in the world. There's a tip for you, Joe. A fact.
We're going to get down there. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep hoping all of our schedules and weather will align. But we haven't lost hope in Dave and I are hoping to get down to Tasmania this swordfish season, which brings me on nicely to Eagle Hawk Neck Swords. Dave, what do you know about them?
Wow, there was a one about 240 or 230 something kilo caught just the other day out there, Joe, which is a bloody big swordfish by any stretch of the imagination. So I think it was Wade Wheeler and crew got that one. Intended to release, but were unable to. And yeah, another really good fish coming out of there, which is kind of the location that started it all. If you want to hear a little bit more about that, we've got a couple of awesome swordfish podcasts that we had a couple of weeks ago. One with Leo Miller, who's the Lord of the Sword, and one with Jonah Yick, who's he's pretty good too. So maybe worth going back and having a listen to those if you want a more sword-centric podcast, Joey.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had the good tuna fishing we've already mentioned throughout Victoria, and there's still a few locally small ones, Joey. If anyone's still keen on chasing them, I mean, it's been an incredibly long season on those bad boys.
And you mentioned Port MacDonald in South Australia, which is like just over the Victorian border. Has that been going good this week?
Yeah, it's been going exceptionally well down there for a few weeks now, Joe. A lot of people making the journey over the border there and getting stuck into the big tuna bite. A lot of fish getting caught on baits these days. The last couple of years have seen a real trend towards that, Joe. There's a very effective method. Guys pitching baits into bust-ups. And, of course, trolling's been good as always.
Now, when would you, switch to bait fishing? When you're targeting big tuna, you can catch them with either lures or bait. Like, at what point do you go, you know what, we've got to chuck a bait on here to get the bite?
Sorry, I was just receiving a message from Matt Hunt. He was apparently helping someone with the trailer issues, Joe.
Oh, that's okay. That's not.
So I reckon we can call him again in a couple of minutes. But sorry, what was that question?
Oh, I was just saying, when do you decide to fish for bait for big tuna rather than trolling lures?
I think if you've got the giant meatballs, as we call them, where we've got bait being pushed up to the surface and a lot of seals and dolphins around, it's well worth pulling up and pitching a bait on there, especially if the fish are sitting a little bit deep and maybe not grabbing lures, which can happen when there's some boat traffic, Joe. Now, we've got, just to crack through the rest of the hookup, Western Port snapper. You had a little snapper report that you might want to mention before my voice completely breaks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We had Fabian Villela from Tooradin Angling Club send me a message before we went live that there's been some good snapper being caught up in the top end of Western Port, Boucher's channel through to Coronella. So as we mentioned on last week's podcast for potential winter fishing options, and that definitely is that shallow water top end of Western Port snapper where you have to be committed and potentially sit out for one full tide change, but you can be rewarded by quite a large snapper. The bite window might only be 10 or 15 minutes, but if you're prepared to wait it out and look at things like moon phase and barometer and your bait, they tend to go good on squid, fresh calamari, or just like a bloody pilchards, actually more so in the winter time, seem to go quite well in Western Port, sitting up on those skinny channels, past Tooradin, Bouchers, Bolton. I've even heard of blokes catching snapper and gummies off the beach at Stockyard Point, which is quite a good land-based fishing spot, where it's a beach, in fact, that it's not too far from Lang Lang, where you can, it's a bit of a walk, Stockyard Point, you park your car, jammed her up, and you walk out to this point. And the best way to access it is when it's low tide, because when it's low tide, you can cast off that beach right into the channel. The water just funnels all out of Western Port, and you can cast off the beach into that channel, and quite a good land-based fishing spot for anybody listening, Stockyard Point in Jandarup, just outside Lang Lang, down in Western Port. So that might be another good fishing option as well.
Well, one thing that briefly came up with us before the show, Joe, fishing up there. And apologies for the coughing fits in the background there, guys. I've done my best to get through this much of the show without having a coughing attack. But anyway,
mate, you're a warrior. You guys have been enjoying the show so much. I said to Dave, we've got to go live this week. So good on you, Dave.
And 52 people there watching live. So g'day everyone, and thanks for jumping on. What did come up was, speaking of those top ends of Westernport, was elephants and some memories we had of what can only be described as a slaughter back in the day, Joe.
Yes. I was saying to Dave while we were eating dinner, so the elephant fish come on also in Western Port, usually from March through to late April. And it used to come for about a 12-week window. And we used to catch a lot of them. Guys used to do charters out of Western Port on elephant fish because it was just such a highlight of the fishing calendar. Look, some people love to eat them. I thought they were okay to eat. Dave, did you ever eat elephant shark?
It used to be a standing family elephant annual whacking day event, Joe, where the whole family would go out and we'd bag out on whatever the bag out limit was back then. And
I think it was 3 each, and then it went down to 2 each, and then eventually went down to 1 each.
It was kind of the only time of the year where you're allowed to gaff. We were allowed to gaff stuff as kids, so a bit of elephant gaffing went on. But not to be anymore. They're rightfully being much more strictly controlled. Now, let's give Matt another try, Joey?
Yeah, sounds good.
Apparently he's ready for us.
Matt Hunt from Matthew Hunt Fishing Services, Portland. He's going to tell us all about the Mahi Mahi.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Have you got me?
Yeah, we got you, Matt. Well, you're out. You're out being a good Samaritan, fixing a trailer. We heard.
Oh yeah, we had tie downs and busted U-bolts and all the good stuff, Dave. We had oil splattered all over, grease splattered all over the side of the boat, and all that good stuff.
That's the absolute worst job you can get, is changing trailer wheel bearings and that sort of stuff covered in grease. So you've done a really good thing for your mates there. So well done for that.
I tell them if they're more than 45 minutes away, don't bother calling. But yeah, you've got to help a bloke in need, don't you?
Okay, no worries. So if we have any trouble within 45 minutes on our way down there in the next few days, we know who to call if we're within that limit. So keep that in mind. Matt, we were going to have a quick catch up with you. We spoke to you the other week, probably just before your fishing season really kicked off. But we may as well start briefly. You've had an awesome run on the big barrel bluefin to start off your season. How many have you caught so far, roughly?
I think we're up to about 23 there, Dave. So it was a good little session we had there before the boat decided to get a flat tire, but we're all back on the water now. But yeah, it was phenomenal fishing, and just to see the Bonnie upwelling working the way it does and the amount of bait that gets in here early is just phenomenal. We had the shimmering and rippling bloody pilchards, footy field size schools of them, and yeah, just the mixed size of fish too was really, really good to see. It's something we don't see a lot of.
I don't know if you remember, but it was literally a week before this big barrel bite kind of exploded onto social media was when you came on the show and you said there'd been a couple lost like the day before, and then it just kind of went crazy.
Yeah, young Lewis and his mates were out the week before, and then John Jabert and Rory and the boys came down and really opened her up that day on the Saturday, and it's been steady ever since. So really good to see the fishery coming back like it is, Dave. It's as I said, those mid-sized fish, the 40 to 70s, have just been a non-event for so long, and that's sort of the jewel in the crown for me as a recreational angler, to know what we're doing isn't damaging the fishery. We've got that mid-sized class fish now that we used to only get up the east coast. 60, 70, 80, 90 Ks offshore.
That's right. Yeah, it's absolutely exceptional, and something, like you said, we are starting to see every year. Something we don't see every year, though, is these bloody dolphin fish. You've been in and amongst the dolphins, Matt. How's that been?
Yeah, it's really good when you look out the back of the boat, the ratchet's going and there's 4 fish in midair jumping around, Dave. It's something different. But, you know, we've had this sort of cold blast of weather, and the Llewellyn current, I can't pronounce it. It comes from the west and it comes over. And I had a look at the sea surface temps, and I thought, geez, this warm water's really pushing past Port Mac and hitting Bridgie and then darting out to the shelf. It's got to be albacore and dolphin fish time. And yeah, about 3 days after I thought about that, we had the hook up. And you know, you just got to be lucky. You got to be on the spot. We had water from sort of 17 to 17.7 where we've been catching them, and you know, we had water as low as 15.8 on the way out that day. So the warm water's hitting Bridgie and getting broken up. And these dollies are just feeding very ferociously because they don't have a long time to live. They're sort of like the squid; they only get a short lifespan, and the growth rate is one of the fastest in the ocean, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, are you finding these? You're finding these dolphin fish in that hot current, obviously.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not a roaring current. I'd say I'm finding the fish in hotter pools of water that are just dissipating as they're moving east. If that makes sense.
Now, they're known in other parts of the world for being caught off floating stuff, basically fads and the like. Have you found them like that?
Floatstrom and all that. Yeah, floatstrom and all that. We've had fads here, and admittedly, it was in the years we didn't see the dolphin fish. But the main problem is keeping the fads there. Both the current and the ships just knock the living hell out of the fads.
Yeah.
And it's picking the time you want the fad there. You know what I mean? I would have said this was a little bit late for dolphin fish. It always comes when the water changes, like from summer to winter. That last bit of warm water or warm current above 17 is where you'll get them. But that's sort of it is getting a little bit late for that sort of water temperature. But you know, we'll just blame global warming, I suppose.
Blame it or thank it, one of the two. So you've just been catching them sort of not blind trolling, but trolling, not so much catching them off the structure.
Yeah, there's no structure, Dave, but definitely in numbers. The terns are on them. The little blackbirds are on them. The water's different where they are. Dave, I've been watching bull dolphin fish herd pillies with their forehead.
Oh,
it's been absolutely phenomenal. Like David Rabbit Burrow stuff. You know what I mean? Like just heart pounding, just like right in the memory bank stuff. I haven't put a lot of video up. I've been running my own deck. I've got old Alfie. He's me a human autopilot at the moment. He's a cracker of a bloke. He's been fishing down here 50 years. I'm just learning a bit off him.
Yeah.
And I've been out running the deck, so I can't do the videos like I normally do. But yeah, it hasn't been just one or two blind dolphin fish, let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, how's that, by the way, being back in the throes of putting lures out and running the decks? I know you're a bit of a lure fanatic. We actually came down to your house a couple of years ago, and you pulled out your lure collection, and I think you were as confused as I was as to which ones you wanted to run. But yeah, you must have fun back there on the deck as a bit of a change up to skippering the boat.
Oh, definitely. And you know, I'm a lure fisherman at heart. I learned, you know, from a seltzer in the Goulburn to burning rubber off the continental shelf. That's just me. You know, I love the anticipation and being lucky enough to see a fish strike or see a fish glimpse past your lure or whatever. That's the real buzz I get out of it.
Yeah. So say we were coming down there to target dolphin fish specifically, what rough location would we be looking for them in? Would it be in the same grounds that the big tuna are in, or are we pushing a little bit wider, looking for that hot water like you were talking about? Are we running the same lures or a different lure spread?
Oh, the best lure I've had is the big green one I've been using, the Bonders DLB or whatever it's called. It's been killing the barrels on the green spreader bar. But I think that's because the bull is eating the bigger lure, number one. And number two, the spreader and that really heavy bullet are stopping the dolphin fish from jumping out of the water. I'm losing a lot of them when they're just getting airborne and throwing the lures. Meridian Demon number 5 has been the outstanding lure, no doubt about it, in the Lumo.
Yep.
Probably had about 7 or 8 hits on that lure. Black and gold Helco's been going all right on that, or the lime green.
Yep.
And pink as well. Pink's been very good on them.
Yeah, very nice. Well, Matt, we got you on just for a short time tonight because I know you got off the water at 6 p.m. You had a massive day, so we're not going to hold you up too much. I'm sure you probably even had had time for dinner yet, given you've been doing trailer repairs, so we won't keep you too long. But we thank you very much for the dolphin fish update, and hopefully it gets everyone excited for the coming weekend and maybe getting down there and getting amongst them themselves. So thanks very much. And
Dave, you know, I love the way you guys roll. Keep up the good work. I'm going to turn the air fryer on. Cheers, boys.
awesome, mate. No worries. And if people want to jump on with you, have you got any availabilities happening at the moment? And how do they get on?
Plenty midweek, mate. Weekends are no show for me because there's only one of me. But if anyone can get down midweek, I've got plenty of availability. So
Awesome.
yeah, not a problem. Just look me up on Facebook or www.fishingservices.com.au.
Very good, Matt. We wish you all the best for the rest of the season, and we'll catch up with you soon, mate. Enjoy your evening.
Looking forward to it. Cheers.
See you, mate. Bye. There you go, Joey. We got him. And well worth it, I thought.
Yeah, that's Mahi tips from the man himself.
I did try and tease an exact location out of him, but he managed to avoid me. But
Russell Farmer just asked in the live chat, are they tasty? And the answer is they're unbelievably good eating.
they're exceptional, those dolphins. Well, I see a few questions there for Matt, guys. Got to apologise. He was in a bit of a hurry tonight, so we couldn't hold him up too long. Also, my voice is about to give out, so I didn't want to keep chatting too much. But I thought that was, really interesting little insight into what is not a staple fishery down there, but it seems to be a bit of a bite going on. So
yeah, we might be Mahi men on Friday, Dave, when we're out there tugging around plastic in the deep blue.
Yeah, absolutely. So something to look out for there. Joey. Hey, Joe.
Yes, Dave.
You were very keen this week to talk a little bit about, well, you called it Joey's seafood market update.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to do a little seafood market update, considering the price of inflation, interest rates. Let's face it, everything's gone up. Insurances, mortgages, groceries. But yeah, groceries in terms of fresh seafood. So I actually, believe it or not, Dave, have you heard of Lamana supermarkets?
No, you told me all about it, Joe.
Yeah. It's basically it's a boutique. I'm going to call them a fresh food grocer with a couple of locations up in the city in the north, and it's literally like half the size of Bunnings. It's got a cafe, a gelateria, a patisserie where they make all fancy cakes, and they've got a lot of like pre-packed meals, and it's just like a continental grocer. But I scanned their seafood section, and I just took a little bit of a sample of some of the species and fresh seafood that we talk about on this show. And have a look at this. Dave, I know you love to use squid for sword baits, but they had fresh calamari in packed up here on the screen there. What do we got there? It's $32 for 700 grams.
45 a kilo.
Of calamari. 714 grams of calamari. So yeah.
This is why you're so pissed off at me when I use them for bait, eh?
I understand why you've just every calamari gets kept for bait now, because that would be bloody expensive to eat that as well. And then we've got yellowfin tuna here. So yellowfin tuna, Dave, what have we got that there at?
$59 a kilo.
$59 a kilo. That's only this like 400 grams of yellowfin tuna.
Get into Lamana Fish Co-op and get your yellowfin tuna. $59 a kilo, $59.
Box of bananas, bloody beautiful. No, that's
I don't know what that accent is.
I don't know. It's a bad con the fruiter accent. But look, that yellowfin tuna, that's taken care of pretty well, Dave. Like that's bled really well.
Yeah, that's bloody awesome.
$15 for what? Like
looks like skipjack to me, Joe.
Yeah, okay. And what else we got there from Lamana?
You got pillies.
You got premium.
You got no price on them.
There's no price on them, but I reckon they were like $15.
Ready to be chucked out for Port Phillip based snapper, those ones.
Go back to the pilchards. Like those pilchards there, they've been the head's been removed and they've been gilled and gutted. So they're ready to be eaten, Dave. Not put onto hooks.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can have them.
And then lastly, we've got up on our screen the mighty swordfish. We've got a couple of small steaks there. Also seems to be like well looked after the flesh there, like well bled and looked after. And it's like what, $14.67 a kilo for how many grams there?
It's 45 a kilo.
45 a kilo,
It's only 300 grams.
300 grams.
So that's why I'm transferring the calamari into swordfish, Joe.
My God.
Yes. 150 times 45. Do the math on that, mate. We'll be bloody millionaires.
Shit.
Here's your final piece de resistance of the
Yeah,
markets.
this wasn't at Lamana. This is just something I saw on social media this week. This is a serving suggestion for all you garfish fishermen out there. As you can see up on the screen, they've somehow like cut the garfish, they've butterflied the garfish, and they've kind of like rolled them up and then breadcrumbed them and fried them, but just using the head and the stick of the face of the garfish, using it as like some kind of paddle pop stick to eat off it. So yeah, it's an interesting serving suggestion of garfish there, and I think that's absolutely bloody brilliant there. So
Do you think that's disrespectful, using a fish's own body part as a handle to eat it?
look, whatever gets the job done,
Do you think
Dave.
it's disrespectful though, or do you think that that's paying homage to the entire fish,
I think that's smart.
tip to tail or whatever they call
I think it's smart.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
let's give that a go. Or maybe that's next week's pre-pod meal, Joey.
Garfish, sure. I'd have to have a bit of practice to do that. But there you go, guys. That's my fresh seafood update for this week. Yeah, if you enjoyed that, maybe we might make that another segment.
Now, Joe, I heard that you were getting pretty angry earlier in the week about a certain brand target advertising to you.
Oh,
And you also weren't happy with the accuracy of their lure color.
let's launch straight into this.
We now go to Peter Griffin for You Know What Really Grinds My Gears.
Thanks, Tom. You know what really grinds my gears?
Oh my God, Dave! You know what really grinds my gears? Nomad DTX. Nomad DTX. You won't leave me alone. You follow me everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, when I go to the toilet, when I go to bed, when I wake up for breakfast. Nomad DTX in a red bait color, which is apparently a pretty good tuna trolling lure at the moment. And I'll just get that up on the screen there.
Apparently, it's been working really good, Joe,
Yeah.
despite the issues that you may have with it.
Oh, it's just really they're virally marketing to me, and I was like, all right, Nomad DTX. I've just seen that there. The lure it's a beautiful blue iridescent lure with a nice red stripe down the middle, and it comes in a variety of different bibs, and it's also bibless. But the second I seen how it's supposed to be mimicking a red bait, which a red bait is quite a popular food of the giant big bluefin tuna. As you can see, their picture of some red bait.
That's live red bait circa 2011 in my live bait tank, Joe. Probably one of the only photos of live red bait that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look, the problem that I have with this lure is it doesn't look anything like a red bait, in my opinion.
Well, if you actually look at these guys, they've basically got red fins and the rest of them's green. Your lure, freaking giant strip of red down the middle of it.
That's it. It's a giant strip of red down the middle, and it's iridescent blue.
But do you think maybe the red just triggers them into thinking something's got red on it, it's red bait, I'm going to eat it?
Well, potentially, but the first fish that I thought that Nomad DTX red bait lure looks like, it would have to be this fish here, which is probably the most smallest of the aquarium fish ever, the neon tetra.
Joey,
The neon tetra.
chuck a bib on that, couple of trebles.
Dave, do
You
you know
got
how,
yourself a DTX.
do you know how big that fish is?
No, Joe. How big? Is it pathetic?
It's about 1 centimeter. It's a 1 centimeter fish.
I've
And
never
you're
seen
gonna-
you. I've never seen you so worked up.
And you're going to make a big lure that looks like a neon tetra. It looks nothing like a red bait. It looks like a neon tetra. Nomad DTX, what are you doing?
Yes. Don't sue us, Nomad, please.
No,
These are
but-
Joseph and Anne's opinions, and they do not represent Win Against Tide Podcast Incorporated. But no, absolutely spot on there, Joey. They if you're gonna make a neon Tetris colored Tetra coloured lure. Call it that. Call it the neon Tetra. But people are really enjoying your fury, actually, Joe. So
There you go.
you've hit a call. But I've actually been copying those ads as well, mate. Flat out. So they're pumping a bit of money into the old advertising.
They must be no. All jokes aside, no, they have been a bloody good lure. I saw a 152 kilo
That's
barrel.
it. Cover your ass.
Had been
In case of legal mitigation.
152 kilo barrel had been caught at Port McDonald on one of those DTX lures in the last week. I don't know if it was on the Neon Tetra style, but you've got a couple of them, Dave, don't you, in your lure kit?
Nah, I actually don't.
I think you do, and
Look,
it's actually sitting on one of my rods.
Oh yeah, I've got that one. But truth be known, and once again, please don't sue us. It went out once and didn't swim so good, so I banned it. But I'm told, Chris Cass, our charter operator, actually told me all his ones have swum really good and caught heaps of fish. So it's probably just me, guys. So, but yeah, I don't have the neon Tetra color, but yeah, worth a go, Joe.
Yeah,
worth a go. Those lures.
Maybe we might pick one up on the way through.
Yeah, I'm not as mad as you this week, but if I can add a little bit of a gear grinding, it's just basically YouTube, mate. YouTube algorithms.
She's been a harsh mistress to us.
You
know,
there's no rhyme or reason to it, mate.
And by the way, guys, for all of you in the live chat, we put up a beautiful video of our
chin dogs,
our Lake Purrumbete trip. Dave and I took out our my dory Quintrex, and we caught some salmonids and brown trout and tiger trout on the lake. Dave, he got that video beautifully prepared and launched on YouTube. And yeah, what's your feedback on that?
Everyone that has watched it enjoyed it immensely, but I fear it has not had the reach that it probably deserves. So, if you want to have a look at it, if you've been wondering where the video is of our chin dogs, then jump on there and have a look. It features Joey's cooking even, Joe.
Yes, we made some beautiful, crispy freshwater skinned fish, which we enjoyed it. But yeah, we brought the drone down. We took some beautiful visuals of Lake Purrumbete, and we were basically cubing pillies and chucking chook pellets. It's like we were fishing for snapper in Port Phillip Bay, but we were just doing it in the Crater Lake at Lake Purrumbete. So yeah, cool little video. Definitely check it out after the show.
I have a catch of the week.
Oh, we're going to go to that.
Hit it.
King Kong, Donkey Kong, mate. Look.
I've gone way different. This one came across the desk just tonight, Joey. Good friend of the show, Joel Bramble, with a couple of bloody massive Australian bass. An Australian native up in the tight, skinny water casting spinnerbaits. Apparently, these ones are verging on 50 centimeters, which is apparently 50 centimeters is like the fish of a lifetime. So he hasn't quite got it, but they're bloody awesome fish, Joey.
They're bloody huge for that kind of fish.
Now, Joel, I know Joel would not ever tell us the location, so I'm not even going to speculate. But I believe sort of Gippsland and north.
And he's fishing his kayak.
He's in his kayak, yeah, probably in the skinny water there. So Gippsland and north, you'll start.
And his kayak looks like pedal power on his kayak as well, with some lovely spinner baits there.
Yeah. So, from the blue water to the creeks, and I've gone with that for Fish of the Week, Joel. So your life is basically complete. Well done. And keep up the good work.
Love it. Huge congratulations there, Joel. Fantastic fish. And that's not just one. He's had a couple.
Oh, he's got a bunch of them, yeah. So, yep. If you want to get stuck into those, don't ask me where to catch them. But I know that around Gippsland and sort of up, and I think they even sort of intermingle with estuary perch, which look very similar, but they've got more of the sloped forehead. They intermingle in some regions. So
yeah, and Shane L in the chat room.
That's given him a bit of a boner.
Yeah,
he's very excited.
He's cracking bass, nice scurrying, and he's referring to scurrying up those skinny creek waters that Joel's has successfully done. But
Shane's probably in the top 100 estuary perch anglers I know. He's somewhere in there where I will not disclose. But Shane's real good perch angler, and out of possibly thousands of them in Australia, I think that's quite a kind title I've given him. So
I'm looking forward to catching up with the old boy, Shane Lowry.
Shane's coming fishing with us.
He is, and I hope he's packed some lobster rolls. with lots of butter on them, just like really like splashed on.
Stuff, you idiot. No, we're not doing that. All right, Joey, let's hit some questions. We've got a few in the live feed. I reckon we hit them first.
Oh yeah, there was a great question right at the start of the show, Dave. It was
About
basically
your life? Is that
no,
it?
it was before that, you smart ass. It was about, have you been ever caught out in some really bad sword fishing weather, being, somewhat 80 to 100 kilometers offshore? Have you been caught out? What did you do? Has it been all right? How's your weather forecasting?
I have been. Normally, I'm pretty good with my weather, but there's some variation. Yeah, probably one of the worst was I was in my old gunshot, the boat that Jody now pilots around the ocean, and it came up probably a good 15 to 20 knots, and we had about 80k to go. Darkness approaching, and yeah, it was just a really, really slow punch back in, Joe. It took us bloody forever. And as we got that map, the little boat on the map, it felt like it just was not moving, Joe, because we were doing about 20k an hour. And it took, I would say, about 3.5 to 4 hours to punch back in. We got back through the bar well after dark. Just luckily, there was no waves happening on the bar at that stage. But yeah, you don't want to be out that far and cop bad weather, that's for sure. So normally we're pretty careful with our forecasting out there.
And just to ask you, Dave, like your weather forecasting system, we constantly talk about weather all week. There's not just one website that you look at. Like, talk us through some of your decision making when you're actually forecasting, going out into the open ocean.
Yeah, there's a few different apps that you can look at. Probably, I'll find one of the most accurate ones that I'll probably trust more so than anything else is actually Bureau of Meteorology Bomb Medai, Joe, which is like a real-time mapping. So you can select the actual spot where you're fishing offshore, and it shows the weather coming through, which I think we showed on the.
Does it have the GPS coordinates?
No, not GPS coordinates, but you can actually click the map and be fairly in the right region.
Yep.
And get pretty realistic forecasting. But I checked that and cross-check it with a bunch of the other ones and basically come up with a happy medium and allow a little bit of inaccuracy and somehow go from there.
And do you look at like the synoptic charts as well?
I look at synoptic charts. I look at swell maps. Big swell coming to Portland this weekend, by the way, 5 meters on Saturday.
Wow.
Or just under 5 meters, but not too worried about that.
I'll be giving my I'll be really testing. I've purchased the Escape with ET seasickness tablets, and if they're going to get tested, it's going to be in that Southern Ocean, just off Portland and Port Mac, like where the swell gets really big. So I'm going to give my pills the ultimate test this weekend. So I'll let you guys know how that goes on next week's show.
All right. The Cap wants to know, Joe, why is there no plants in the world famous fish tank behind us?
Oh, cracking question. And we had that one in the live chat last week. So the tank behind me,
Joe's a tight ass, that's why.
It's an African cichlid tank, and on the tank floor is coral sand, and we're trying to mimic a African freshwater rift lake. The coral sand actually buffers the water, because the water that comes out of our Melbourne water system, look, it's quite it's got a pH rating, roughly 5 to 7. But these fish behind me, they like a much harder water, and the coral sand sort of helps bring that pH up. But look, they're cichlids, and they actually eat plants as well. So I've styled it like an African freshwater rift lake, but there's no plants there because the fish will eat them. So look, the main way this tank is set up is just to display beautiful fish, but these fish behind me are actually getting a little bit too big for this tank.
We'll have to eat them soon.
Yeah, where there's an 8-foot tank. This is a 6-foot aquarium behind me, holds approximately 750 litres. They're going to get shifted to an 8-foot, 1,000-litre tank, which will be in the living room there. So that's what's going on with the fish at the minute. Hopefully by transporting them to a bigger tank, I'm going to get them to breed. I've had these fish for about 7 years, and I've had limited success with breeding, but hopefully a little bit more space when the males and females split off from the pack to go and do their breeding. They won't be disturbed because they're getting a bit big and boisterous, and the other males are disturbing the breeding activity. It's a bit like the human world, Dave.
Is it? I don't no. Other males don't disturb my breeding activity. I don't know how you've come up with that analogy. I find that quite inaccurate.
You don't have some Brendan or Finn Wing knocking on your door at 11 o'clock screaming to give you a container back?
No, they don't do that anymore. They moved to a different suburb.
I reckon your breeding activity's been disturbed once or twice.
Or drones hovering next to my window, which also happened. A drone looking into my house. Simon's just said, have we heard any feedback regarding the new Bastion Point Cape Conran boat ramp? I think it copped some weather. Not really up to date with that one, Simon. I think Simon reckons some damage sustained. I know there was a marker buoy marking the famous prop rock, and I think that came dislodged maybe in the storms, but that's all I really know about it. So if you've got any more info on that, feel free to fill us in on it. But hopefully the changes they've made to that ramp are working quite well. Mason with an old school one. We've probably answered this one before. What's your favourite fish to catch? Marlin. I'm going with.
Oh, love to catch a marlin. I've never caught one, but yeah, that would be really fun to catch.
Acrobatic. They don't hurt you too much, and you catch them in the nice warm weather, and then you go back to the pub.
Yes.
What else have we got here? I think that's about
anything on the Instagram feed. I think we did have a couple of questions there.
We'll swap on over to that one. We got one that was from Matt, who runs Matt Hunt's Deck. Apparently he does, from what he was saying there. My wife's asking me if it's sacrilege to cook tuna casserole with bought tuna tomorrow night for dinner. Certainly is.
Yeah, Lamana. Yes, $14 for 300 grams.
Lamana tuna. Yeah, that one. I think she's talking about canned tuna though, Joe.
Oh,
yeah.
Times are tough.
That is sacrilege. Jonah, what are some of your worst death spirals, which is some terminology that we tend to run with, which accurately describes how you feel when your day isn't going to plan when you're fishing and you are down in the dumps. A death spiral, as we'd put it. Some of your worst death spirals, and how do you treat it apart from catching a fish? It's a good question. I don't know if you can. Once you've spiraled, I don't know if there's too much. Well, the opposite to a death spiral, we call that a life spiral. So optimally, while one person's death spiraling, the other person really, to have any hope of keeping the mood relatively okay, they need to life spiral and even out the feels on the boat, I would say, Joe. Failing that, if you've got a multiple person death spiral, I mean, you're in real trouble. You basically either catch something or you go home very sad. But it never ceases to amaze me how quickly I can go home after a crap trip and then give me a day, a good sleep, and I'm ready to go again.
I was going to say, usually the death spiraling and the disappointment of a failed fishing trip is, you've mentally G'd yourself up, you've prepared the boat, you've spoken to your friends, you've gotten the best intel possible to try and be very successful. The fishing trip starts 2 days before, and when things don't go to plan, usually sleep deprived, and that affects the your melatonin in the brain. It makes you feel happy. So nothing like good sleep to top up on that melatonin.
That got very sciencey.
Yeah,
I just no, it's not fun when you're all depressed, but I think it happens to everyone. We've just coined a good term for it.
Yeah.
And then the only other one there is just ask Ben Savage of Savage Trailers for a talk on trailers. That's probably a good suggestion for another podcast, Joey.
A lot of questions we get asked about trailers, and we're famously trailer boat fishermen in this state. So yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Ironic that Matt Hunt was helping someone with a trailer when his boat itself is not a trailer boat. So you would have thought he would have felt like he didn't have to deal with that anymore. But he does have to deal with all the other issues that come with having a big boat in the water, which is, we saw he was off the water for some time there and he's back up and running now, Joey. But yeah, maybe we can get Ben Savage on. A really nice bloke he is down the track, and we'll have a chat to him. I reckon that's about it for the questions, mate. As far as I know.
Mate, that's that's about a wrap, isn't it?
Yeah, no, mate. I think it's been a pretty good show. I do apologise for the couple of coughing fits that I've had throughout the show, but I feel like I've recovered a little bit.
You're a warrior, Dave, and you've pulled through to our loyal fans. And we want to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much for joining us again on Wind Against Tide. If you like, make sure you like what you see. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Go back and check out our old videos. 43 people in the chat room tonight. And we're going fishing this weekend. So next week's going to be a cracker show. We can't wait to tell you how our trip unfolds on Friday and Saturday. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. Oh, quick comment there. Why don't you guys deck for Matt? I actually have before on a day trip. It was a good time. So maybe we can again. Just to go back to the questions briefly there, Joe. But
That's all right. We might hook up with Matty Hunt on Friday.
40 people still watching us. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it, as always. And if you're watching this show once it's already gone up on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, thanks to you as well. And appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, we love you all. Good night, Australia.
Or YouTube. You want to see us? See our smiling faces? YouTube. Check it out on your TV.
Nicely done, Joe. Night, everybody.